Hi, and welcome to another edition of our Fireside Chat here at the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center. I am very excited to be joining you today with a number of guests. We have a number of people who are joining us today to talk about National Volunteer Week. The PMFRC and the Garrison and PSP, the work of volunteers is so important to all that we do within our community, but also within the community at large. So we wanted to talk a little bit about those folks. With us today, we have Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Mills, who is the acting commander of for CDSG here at Garrison Petawawa. And with him, Chief Warrant Officer Todd Buchanan, who is our Formation Sergeant Major. Nathan Mills is here. He is the Senior Manager at PSP. Sarah Gunter is here. She is our Volunteer Specialist here at the PMFRC. We have Melanie Fahey joining us, and she is one of our fabulous PMFRC volunteers who's going to talk about her opportunities. And also Derek DeRuiter is joining us. He is the Interim Executive Director at the PMFRC and will be appearing on many more of these fireside chats in the coming weeks. So I wanted to point him out as well. And he's going to become a regular fixture on these, at least for the next couple of months. Colonel Mills, so National Volunteer Week, this is an initiative, as the name implies, is happening across Canada. And it's an opportunity for organizations and communities to really feature some of the folks who volunteer their time, their expertise, and their skills. And the theme this year is volunteering weaves us together. Can you talk to us a little bit about volunteering and how those connections are built, I guess, within individuals and also within the community?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when we look at a place like Petawawa, I think that we have a lot of that connective tissue just by virtue of where we are. The fact that, we're a small community removed from a lot of large urban centers. So really it's very difficult to kind of unweave some of that fabric when we talk about the various people and organizations that work together. Because we truly are a family, whether it's, our individual families, within our units, within the broader community, the support structures for our family members that really weaves us and brings us together, because with any single element, we can't do the other things well. We need everybody kind of participating and working together. And, the sheer fact that we have volunteers that are willing to contribute their time and effort outside of, their other daily lives is absolutely amazing. And without that connective tissue, it would be very difficult for us to do all the things that we really need to do. Because even if we could kind of get on with the task, it's that safety, that feeling that we're supported and that our families are supported, and that all of this is happening behind the scenes, and that we have such dedicated individuals. It really does bring us together, because it gives us that as uniformed members, it gives us that peace of mind that our families are being looked after and really taken care of and supported. We were very fortunate earlier in the week to meet with some of the youths as well. And, there were some very extraordinary people that dedicate their time as young members in our community to help support us. And the fact that we have, the adult volunteers here today, I'm so amazed and so appreciative of all the things that they do, because they're such a critical element, given all of the hardships we put on our personnel and their families. To have that support is absolutely amazing, and it really does weave us together.
And thank you for mentioning the youth volunteers. They, as you said, they are a great group, and what a testament to the next generation that's coming up and all the things that they're going to bring to their community. Derek, the PMFRC, we rely on a lot of volunteers here, and they really have helped us to take our programs and bring them to the next level and allow us to offer a level of service that we wouldn't be able to offer without those supports. Can you talk a little bit more about their contributions?
Yeah, of course, right. If you know the PMFRC at all, and you know how many programs and stuff and the services we deliver, we really wouldn't be able to do that without the volunteers, right? They're essential to that. They're essential to the preparation for it, to, any of the events we have. They're there helping us through and through, right? We support a lot of families and a high volume of that. So we need that help. We need those volunteers to play that role and be able to support them and help us better support the families. If we didn't have them, I don't know if we'd be able to deliver the capacity or the programs we have in the same capacity as we do, right, without their support. To give you a bit of an idea, and I pulled together, I got some of the numbers pulled together of some of the hours and stuff that we had put in by our volunteers in the different departments. You know, to run through a few things, that some of the key areas is our board of directors, for one, they're all volunteers, right? It's a volunteer board, and they put in a lot of work and a lot of hours administratively in order to make sure, you know, we meet our mandates and we run the way we need to run and offer the services we need to do, right? We have a lot of administrative support roles that we have our volunteers in. There's over 150 hours have been dedicated to that last year from our volunteers. Our creative activities, including stuff like face painting and supporting the events we have, there's over 100 hours put in there. They do offer support in our childcare programs and our programs like Play Troop, Kitty College, and our before and after school programs. They help us with events when we have them. We also have, which Julie talked about a few minutes ago, is our youth volunteer program and what they do. And really that's a dedicated program for our youth to get community service hours. So they've put in over 130 hours to the program as well. We've had them, the volunteers assist in building and assembling furniture and getting our offices the way we need them, because we don't always have the staff to do that. So that's various stuff they do, as well as program setup, preparation, support. So like, to sum it all up, in 2022, we had over 1,500 hours dedicated by our volunteers, right, throughout our organization, which is remarkable in a normal year, but in a year that we were only partially open and a lot of the stuff we did virtually is even more impressive, right? Without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
And it's such a range of activities. I know, Nathan, for you as well at PSP, the expertise and the full range of skills that your volunteers are bringing to the table are incredible. Can you talk a little bit about what the PSP volunteer team does?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, Julie, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for organizing this. Lieutenant Colonel Mills, Chief Master Buchanan, welcome as well. So from a PSP perspective, probably not as in-depth as MFRC, but we do have a bunch of volunteers, typically between 50 and 60 a year. Some are support our day-to-day programming, but I would say the lion's share is with our clubs. So we have 10 active PSP clubs, all run by volunteers. So the executives of those clubs are volunteers. And I will tell you, they put in tireless hours. Sometimes it's a thankless job, as we know. Sometimes volunteering is, but they do it for the love of the game, and they have passion. They all have their own reason why they want to participate in the clubs and volunteer. Some of them has been with us a very long time, and we have volunteers in some clubs that's over 20 years. So that's a good sign. But unfortunately, we have some volunteers in some clubs who moved on and moved away, and the club had to close. So the vital part of the volunteers within the clubs is extremely high, because I'll be very honest, if we did not have volunteers running the clubs, we would not have a club. And that's unfortunate, but clubs are a bunch of like-minded people who got together and said, I'd love to have an auto fix-it club. I'd love to have a wood hobby or swim club, karate, like there's all kinds of them. Folks who think the same and want the same things. But there's those folks who go over and beyond that volunteer to take the executive position. That's the one. So from myself as the senior manager who's in charge of all PSP programming, so on behalf of myself and especially the manager of community recreation, which all the clubs fall under. But you know what? More importantly, I'm going to say thank you to those volunteers for the users of that club. So the executive are small, 5 or 6 of them, but there's 50 to 60 to 200 users in that club. And those users would go without if those volunteers weren't there. So I can't thank them enough. I appreciate them. And personally and very sincere, I say thank you for your efforts. Thank you for volunteering. If it wasn't for you, life wouldn't be as good as it is in Petawawa. So bravo Zulu to you all.
I think when you are a military family member and you're moving to a community that's new, that's one of the easiest ways that you make friends, that you build that network, is to find people with those common interests who have things that you have in common. And that's how you build those friends. I'm going to add a link to the website there to the list of the clubs that are available. I think if you've got a second to sort of click on that link and browse through the range of activities and the range of interests, there really is somebody for everybody. So I'm gonna add that in just to make sure that people are aware of those full range of things. Mills, when we talk about the CAF, the people who are coming through the CAF, the membership, they bring certain skills, values to the table, and a lot of that marries very well with adding to a community, bringing those connections. Can you talk about how the values of the Canadian Armed Forces marry so well with that community involvement piece, and what those military members bring to their communities?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of going to break it down into kind of three different areas. So the first and foremost on the skills front are kind of a lot of those skill sets that we just kind of hone in the military that are of benefit. You know, it's our desire to organize, to plan, to manage resources, to, you know, some of those hard skills that are just, you know, your average military member will make sure that when they see something, you know, that they can make more efficient, or that they can put a little bit of bandwidth behind to organize. You know, it's a very strong skill that is developed internally. You know, the second area is we have such an inherent desire based on what we do to build teams, to work together, to foster morale, to build that community, whether it's in small teams or, you know, as part of a larger effort. So we have those kind of those inherent desires, and whether it's, you know, to face adversity with a sense of humor, whether it's to band together in difficult times, or just to set the conditions for when those difficult times come, that we've got a plan in place and we're organized. So there's that. And then the third that I would say is we bring the perspective of the military member to the volunteer organization, because it's not just about, you know, what our families and our dependents are going through, but it's providing that perspective of the uniformed member in that same dynamic. So to be able to provide that perspective in the volunteer community that are providing services to those families, but through the lens of the military member that's serving as well, I think it provides a healthy balance within that organization to be able to represent both sides as a collective whole.
Thank you. Melanie, we have spent the entire call talking about our volunteers, what they bring to the table, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join us to talk from a volunteer perspective. You are a PMFRC volunteer who has contributed so much to our programs. Everybody loves it when people say nice things about them in public. So thank you for joining us. Can you talk a little bit about why you volunteer, and maybe some of the things that you do for the PMFRC, just to put a face on what those possibilities are for somebody who maybe sitting on the fence about whether they want to get involved?
Well, my relationship with the PMFRC started when we got posted here in 2021. Prior to that, I was working full time. We were in Ottawa. You know, I wasn't anywhere near a base, and I haven't really felt like I've been part of the military community for probably about the last 15 years, because we haven't lived anywhere close to the base. Like, we lived off base. So when COVID hit, I was working in the travel industry. So that didn't bode well for my employment. So I ended up getting knocked back to part-time and found that I really liked working 3 days a week. But I needed something to do. So when we found out we were being posted to PET, I'm like, well, maybe I'll volunteer with the PMFRC, because like my husband has been in the military for over 20 years. Like, I have a lot of experience as a military spouse. So I thought, you know, there's a lot of new people coming in. Maybe I could help with that. Not even thinking that, you know, most of my volunteer work has been more behind the scenes admin stuff, like doing sometimes monotonous tasks, but it's stuff that needs to get done. And I've discovered that at the heart of it, I'm a helper. Like, I like being behind the scenes. I like giving a task that kind of needs to get done, but nobody wants to do, or something that just makes it a little bit easier for people. So, you know, most of my work has been things like updating safety data sheets for the materials that are being used in the play troops. So not the most interesting, but still kind of fun, because I got to hang out with Sarah for a couple of days and there was a lot of laughter. But also collating data and creating spreadsheets to get information about past purchases or contact details or stuff like that. It's things that nobody thinks of, but just makes it easier for somebody. But what I've found, kind of the side benefit of this, is that I'm meeting new people, I'm making new friends, which is never easy, especially as an adult, when you go to a new base. So, it was what I thought was going to happen and what has actually happened are different, but so much better than I was expecting. So I would highly recommend to anybody, especially if you are, a little bit quieter, a little bit shyer. Like, it's not always a front facing, like you're involved in the action type of thing. I'm much happier behind the scenes. Like, I'll still help with events, but I don't want to be at the forefront of it. I want to be the person who is like, organizing invoices or, setting up tables or stuff like that. The wide variety of different volunteer opportunities, you really find something for everybody and for everybody's skill set. So, but the chance to help, to meet people, I've never laughed so hard as I have, even doing the silliest things, like sitting there creating a spreadsheet and I'm giggling away with Sarah or whoever it was that I was working with. Sitting at the front table during a recent event at the museum, it was me and one of the other staff, and we laughed all day. Like, we had a fantastic time. So I would highly recommend that anybody give it a try, even if you don't think that you have very much time, because it's not a heavy time commitment. You get to choose what you want to do, but you'd be surprised at what skills you can bring to the table, but also what skills you gain from this and the confidence that you gain and the friends that you gain from this. Like, you guys are talking about how wonderful it is that volunteers like myself and my colleagues, like what we bring for you guys, but what you offer to us is way beyond what we can offer to you, because it's the community that you're building. It's the friends that you're helping us to make. It's those connections, and also just the satisfaction of being able to help the community, help the different spouses, help the military members. Like, it's kind of like we're the silent force that's kind of helping in the background, and I can't even express how wonderful that is and how great of a feeling that is.
Thank you. That's such an important message, I think, especially for this time of year when some of us might be facing those posting messages and the idea of going to a brand new community and not necessarily knowing where to start. Maybe this is something that you want to think of as a way, like Melanie said, of meeting those people, of getting out of the house, of laughing. And, who doesn't enjoy an Excel spreadsheet? Absolutely. I can see why you had a great time with that.
I know, it's a joy. It was an absolute joy to create those spreadsheets.
Sarah, you are our volunteer specialist and you work with Melanie and the entire volunteer team. And this time of the year, you tend to ask the PMFRC team for some nominations and suggestions. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about that.
Yes, thank you, Julie. So every year we give out 3 awards to our amazing group of volunteers. They are nomination based, like Julie touched on. So I go around to everyone within our agency and I ask them for nominations. For me, it really gives me a bigger picture of seeing where they have impacted all the various departments and as a whole. So I'm going to touch on our 3 awards that we give out. The first one is our Volunteer of the Year award. So this one goes to someone that's been active within the last year. It definitely goes to someone that has had a high level of dedication and commitment to the PMFRC. And they definitely demonstrate leadership, exceptional customer service, and their impact with their volunteer hours has shown a great impact on our PMFRC programs. So we do both an adult version and a youth version for that. So we can highlight both of that. Then our third award would be our highest form of recognition for a PMFRC volunteer, and that is our PMFRC Award of Merit. This one is for someone that has volunteered more hours in comparison to other volunteers. Their accomplishments have also shown a great impact on our programs. In addition to that, they also exemplify the spirit of volunteering, and you will see them out in the community outside of us as well. So we look for that as well. They inspire to engage other people, and they're very much the heart of the volunteerism as a whole. So I am very pleased. It always brings me great excitement, and everyone loves giving out awards, but I will go through our winner for the Award of the Year. So our 2022 Volunteer of the Year awarder is going to Kate Klosowski. She unfortunately wasn't able to join us here today. And then our next one, our Youth Volunteer Award of the Year, is going to Loic Patry. And again, he wasn't able, unfortunately, he's at school. We have that thing called school happening at the same time. And then I'm pleased because Melanie's here. She is our recipient for our Award of Merit. So congratulations for all of them. I'm going to pass it over to Sir, and she's going to say some words for each person.
Actually, Sir, can you talk about a little bit about Melanie's nomination? As we said, there was a nomination for Melanie, and there was something that we put together for her. Can you talk about why Melanie was nominated?
Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, I've got a citation here. So Melanie joined the PMFRC in 2021 and has since established a reputation as a dependable, friendly, and helpful volunteer. Melanie is always willing to assist, not caring how long it might take as long as the task is finished. Melanie has helped with a variety of administrative support responsibilities, event decor setup, event support, and health and safety updates during her time with PMFRC. Melanie does a fantastic job of juggling her employment, family, and volunteer obligations. She is always open to new ideas and is a delight to be around. Melanie's support has been greatly appreciated, and she has made a difference in the lives of our staff and families. We are so lucky to have Melanie as part of our volunteer team. Congratulations. And I mean, I think we could hear it in your voice, you know, as you're talking about your role and your love for volunteering, that it really jumps through the screen that, you know, this is absolutely merited and absolutely accurate. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of fluff here. You know, this is very much who you are, and that you take such pride in the work that you do with your volunteering. So, you know, very, very well earned. And you have all of our sincere thanks on behalf of CFP Petawawa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melanie. As you said, Sir, it is evident when Melanie talks about volunteering how passionate it is about what she did. And she talked earlier about the importance of finding something that you love, finding something that, you know, you can bring something to. If you are watching this and you're thinking about National Volunteer Week and wanting to volunteer, but not knowing where to start, I think Sarah's got an idea for you. Sarah, can you talk about our Volunteer Expo that is happening next week?
Absolutely. So firstly, you can always reach out to me as well by email. All the information will be below, or you can always stop in the Southside Community Center. I'm always there available to help out. But one of our newest things that we're doing this year is we're hosting a volunteer expo. So this is actually happening next week, next Thursday, April 27th. It will be going from noon until 5 p.m. and it's happening at the Employment Services location in the meeting room right next to it. So familiar, right next to Independent Grocery Store there on the boulevard. We're really excited to be hosting this with some outside organizations. The idea that came to be is lots of times I get approached by both our volunteers, but also outside organizations, really looking to connect the dots between volunteering, but then them looking for volunteers. And my main goal is to always connect our volunteers with meaningful opportunities. So whether that's with us or within the community, both are really great situations. We have a number of community organizations that will be there in attendance. They will be highlighting all of their volunteer roles, providing you with that direct one-on-one information of how you can get involved with them, how you could sign up. So it's really an opportunity for you to stop in and learn more about what's available in the community to volunteer. And I'll of course be there. So always the opportunity if you have any questions for me. But we have about 10 different organizations that are scheduled to be attending. So further information, you can see that all on posters that are going out of who is going to be attending. But we're just very excited to just be able to kind of connect the dots and get volunteering happening everywhere within the community.
Thank you, Sarah. If no one has anything else they would like to add, anyone? Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to talk about National Volunteer Week. I think it is so important. And like Sarah said, there are opportunities for you no matter what your skill, no matter what your schedule. Call Sarah, go to the Volunteer Expo. We can help you find an opportunity here or out in the community. Back to Melanie's message, what a great way to get out, build your network, make friends. We are going to be back with another Fireside Chat next week. We're going to be talking about April as Month of the Military Child and an event that we have coming up on Teal Up Day to recognize military kids in our community. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you next week. I will put links to the PSP clubs, to information about the Volunteer Expo underneath in the comment section. I would invite you to go click on it, learn more about those opportunities. Have a great day.